I guess it helps if you turn the screen around. Good morning or afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in. I'm Marla Esser-Close, the Green Home Coach, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes to share some time with me. If you haven't been on any of these Facebook Lives before, this is really a time when we get to talk about what's going on with green and sustainability, what questions you might have, how that pertains to your home, to your family, and really giving us an opportunity to talk through some of those things just for a few minutes. And this is a great way to really couple it with what we're doing on the Green Gab podcast, talking about or gabbing about green homes, green companies, and green living. And I really want to kind of talk about this word green for a little bit because I follow the Shelton Group quite a bit. And the Shelton Group does a lot of research, a lot of marketing research about words that resonate with people, aka consumers, and what kinds of messaging is going to make the most sense as companies, builders, manufacturers, utilities, people in the energy business are talking and messaging, sharing with their clients and the people they want to be their clients. And Suzanne Shelton, the founder and owner of the company, actually, they just issued a new report. It showed something really, really interesting. They've been doing a lot of market research they've been doing it for years, but this last report really talked about how we seem to be at a turning point, and a turning point where the general public is accepting and expecting companies to be responsible. And that really means sustainability, even if those people aren't using the word sustainability, but they're expecting a level of transparency. They're expecting us, you and me, as consumers, as people buying and making purchases, but we're expecting people to tell us what kind of things are in the products they're selling and how those products and goods and services will benefit us. And we care about the environment. There's some great statistics that she quotes in a report. And if you want to go to the website, it's Shelton Group, SHELTONGRP.com. And you can get on their mailing list. You can download a number of the reports are available for free. And at any rate, Suzanne's just a dynamo. And what they do, the kind of research they do, is just fascinating. And it's so much in line with how I think that our actions really do matter, and how we talk about this whole thing really matters. So the word green, although it's really still accepted because it's a catch-all phrase and it's very recognizable, it oftentimes gets a bad name too. Matter of fact, I ran a campaign a few years back called "Green is not a four-letter word," meaning a cuss word. Because many of the people I was talking to were like, "Ooh, you say green, politics, liberal, tree huggers, eat crunchy granola," or Yule Gibbons, if you're old enough to remember the Grape Nuts story or commercials. But green and sustainability also have taken on a cachet of being balanced and being transparent about what's in our products and goods and services, and about being good for us and being good for where we live, which is the environment. So what was what was really interesting about this study that the Shelton Group just put out is that the environmental story seems to now be of interest to the American public, and it hadn't been for quite a few years. And matter of fact, there was a lot of advice to talk about the benefits, and I still think talking about the personal benefits of what you get from any of this makes a lot of sense. But wow, we've been preaching for a while that taking green actions, taking actions in your home that make you better, healthier, safer, more comfortable, also impact your community and the larger world. And that's so much in line with what we heard out of the Shelton Group. So I'm really excited that we are all on the same page, but that's expected because we're all watching the same trends and we're watching the same things that are happening in our world. So even people that don't say they're green or they're taking green actions or that they care about something green or sustainable are taking actions and making choices in your life. You're making choices in your life that are impacted by things that are green, sustainable, environmentally conscious. So for instance, if you buy an organic apple at the store, you're getting something that's healthier for you because it's, doesn't have all the chemicals and the pesticides, the insecticides, etc. And it typically also has a lot more nutrition in it because a lot of times it's grown in soil that is not, it's not added to artificially. So you get more of the nutrition in the apple. So that's a bonus too. Well, it's also helping out that farmer because the farmer's not having to handle those chemicals to farm. It also may be allowing that farmer to be farming in a different way. So maybe it's a healthier way. So the farmer and his or her family is also gaining a healthier way of farming. It may be a smaller way. It depends. There's all kinds of ways to organically farm as well. Then in part, we have companies that now may be recognizing that, hey, not as many people are buying these formulas with these chemicals in them. So maybe we need to think of different ways to offer product that's helpful for what the consumer's asking for. So we can impact what our manufacturers make with what we buy. And our choices affect the whole cycle. And this is where the economics of green, which there's a podcast coming out later this week on the economics of green, where we talked with the Bowtie economist, Elliot Eisenberg, who's a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine and just has so much insight into this entire economic picture. But we had this great conversation on the podcast about how all of the economics of green, it's all a system and it all ties in together. And just like everything else, green is just a way of doing things, and it's a way of us being accountable and transparent. So this ties into to economics. It affects economics. The economics dictate it. So it's a circular economy. Duh. It can be a circular economy, but we just had a great conversation. And the big takeaway that I really want to leave with you, because I'm not going to talk real long. I just got over a cold and I still don't have a huge voice back, so I don't want to strain it too long. But think of this. Everything in our life is a system of systems. Matter of fact, I was listening to this great podcast on NPR yesterday. They do a TED Hour podcast that I just love, and they were doing it on networks. And they were talking about how this one researcher found that even the trees in a forest are networked, and they share nutrients. And then you look at our bodies, and our blood system is one network, and our nervous system is another network. And then you look at how those networks roll out into the bigger world, and the systems, and we have systems of systems in our world, and our houses are like that. They're systems of systems, and it just keeps going. And the economics of that also plays into that. So this whole conversation, and I have no idea if I'm making any sense today because I have so many thoughts and ideas running through our house. So here's the takeaways. Your house, your life is a system of systems just like everything else. So the choices you make and the actions you take that impact you now are going to impact the entire system. So they're also going to impact you down the road most likely, because most of those systems have a longevity to them. And what we do today impacts the systems in the future. So the choices you make and the actions you take can be very, very important, are very important in my mind, to how that system performs for you, for your community, for the bigger world, for our environment. And you don't have to be a tree hugger. You don't have to be out there just rah-rahing, green and sustainability. But there's been a lot of organizations that have been protecting our natural world for a long time, and a lot of them are making a lot of sense. They have all different kinds of ways of going about that, just like every other kind of organization. But a lot of them can teach us a lot. I learn a lot from them. And my goal is to distill that information and get it to you. so that you can make better choices. You can make actions that are in true, in your spirit, with your values, and are congruent with how you feel and believe in your life. But I also think we're all going to have to rethink that we are part of a bigger world, and that we can't just impact ourselves, because everything we do impacts others as well. And that's where the system of systems really comes into play with our actions and our choices. I'm finding all kinds of joyful ways to make really great choices that are in support of my values, and I will continue to share them with you. There are times when, sometimes you just got to go with what's in front of you, and it may not be the choice you really want to make, but you got to, sometimes there's not as many choices as we want. But today, I applaud you for whatever choices you're making in your life that are helping to move things forward for you and your family and your community and our bigger world, because we are all on this place together, and this is it. I'm not aware of anywhere else that we can live. So thank you for allowing me to share some thoughts with you today, and I hope that you can find an action or a choice that you can take in your life today that will improve your life and the system of systems in your world. So for me, well, I don't know what my action's going to be today. I hadn't thought about that yet. But I guess, actually I do know. It's going to be very warm here today in Oklahoma City, so I'm going to have a chance to air out my house. So the windows are going open once the thermometer hits 70, which should be very soon. So I will get a chance to ventilate my house and clear out all the dust and any of the chemicals. So there's my action for the day. I hope you get a great action as well. If you need some ideas, Facebook me, call me, and happy to pitch on in. Have an amazing day today. If you would like to follow up on any of our blogs or podcasts, greenhomecoach.com, and we'll see you next week. Take care.